So then let's start. Welcome to this session on monitoring jobs and automation tasks with SAP Cloud ALM. My name is Gergi Spiri. I'm the SAP representative, and I'm really happy to present together with David from Sanofi. I will start the presentation with a little bit of an overview, just to set a little bit the stage, and then hand over to David, and then he will just share the story from Sanofi's perspective. And if there's still time left, I will take over. I have some more things to show. I have prepared the slides, which you have accessible, but we have the very good opportunity to see it live in the system, actually, in Sanofi's tenant, so I will really try to show everything there. Before I start, just one quick question. I'm always interested to know, say, who is already using SAP, so job and automation monitoring in Cloud ALM? Just hands up. So already using, maybe, I don't know, like 10%, 15%. And who is planning to use it? Okay, good. So more or less the remainder. Good. All right, then I know that it's good to maybe a little bit explain. So quickly to the agenda, as I said already, concept and content, and then I hand over to David. And if there's time left, but I'm sure David will also show a little bit in the system, but if there's time left, we will also just go through the application, how to efficiently use it, maybe some things that you didn't detect yet or that seemingly didn't work for you, then maybe I can show it and then you know what to expect. Okay. Good. What is the general concept? We basically tried to build job and automation monitoring in a very generic way, very opposite to how it was in Solution Manager for those who use Solution Manager. And the motivation was that we soon learned it, actually. When Solution Manager started, there was basically only ABAP systems, so ABAP job monitoring was the only focus, and probably that was the reason why it was completely centric, ABAP job centric. And now still ABAP jobs play a major part, are important, will be important in the future, but there are many, many more job types. And so therefore we needed to build something that is generic. So we envisioned basically a model, generic model, and every job type can feed us into this model. They need to do a certain mapping, and this has of course some disadvantages. So maybe something is not perfectly represented on our side. At the same time, it's a beautiful unification and very easy to extend and onboard additional job types. And the second aspect that we did, in contrast to almost all local job monitoring tools, we really try to condense on the definition. So what you see here in the picture is basically in the remote systems, in the local monitoring, typically you see all the executions, frequently running jobs appear very often, and not so frequently running jobs you hardly see. And this is of course not really good, because every job represents some kind of data processing, some kind of application, whatever, important piece in the application. And we try to give you an overview if all pieces of the application are working. So that was the driving principle. And of course we are collecting the data from the different services, systems, and so on. We present it in a nice UI and try to basically give you the drill down capability, as much of data that is possible we collect into Cloud ALM, including exceptions for those job types that deliver it. So for that you don't need any remote access, but always driving principle is also to offer remote access for further root cause analysis. So, and this is the last slide, just to quickly show you the breadth, so how much we are able to monitor. Now we started with cloud application jobs, then all the ABAP layer, BW chains, business workflows, then the first BTP application that we were able to monitor were Build automation. Now, just recently, we onboarded also processes and workflow instances, and this is a big achievement, actually. The last entry, SAP Identity Provisioning Jobs, a cloud product, is using the so-called next generation data collection infrastructure and is pushing us the data, and this is making the usage very, very simple. You just switch on, switch off, whereas for the other job types you have some specific setup activities to do. Okay, and having said this, let me hand over to David.
Hello. Thank you, Jajali. So I'm David Desmarais. I am the SAP Platform Manager at Sanofi. So I'm leading the new core model, platforms, and the BTP environment.
I clicked for you.
So, some few words on Sanofi. So we operate in a lot of countries, on 19. A little bit less than 100,000 people in Sanofi, with 59 manufacturing sites and 20 R&D. So we operate in the 6 different therapeutic areas of vaccines, immunology, oncology, numerology, rare disease, and rare blood disorders. Our business are divided in the 4 main business areas, so specialty cares, vaccines, general medicines, and consumer health care. So since now many years, we are going through a digitalization of our industry in all layers, in the commercial and also in the industrial side. So we are connecting a lot our systems, so more and more in the cloud solution. So that's why we try to operate with the BTP platform and all the components. So just to summarize the new core model landscape. So we have a lot of systems, and we start the journey for the core model 7 years ago. And we deploy S4 system 1610, and now we are in the 2021 version. We have different systems connected for Brazil, for global trade solution, PI systems, Fiori for sure, GLC solution from SAP, the BTP platform, and other partners that are working with us. So we are in the private cloud solution in the T-System that are hosting our main core model systems. And we start to implement the CALM solution in many of those boxes. Not all at all, but we will extend. So our goal, we use the solution manager at the beginning for job monitoring for our previous ECC version. And when we start with S4, we start the journey with you 3 years ago, something like that. We start to implement at the beginning of Cloud ALM and job monitoring the solution. So as we use integration suite, we use a lot of functionality in the BTP, and we want to implement as much as possible the standard operating tools from SAP. So we activate the cloud transport management in Cloud ALM. We start the job monitoring. We implement the health monitoring. We use the real user monitoring. So we start a lot of things in parallel, but it's a very good tool for us. So as I said, in terms of connectivity, we have our private cloud with our hosting provider T-System. We have also private cloud on Azure and AWS. So we have different systems connected with different private cloud. And we use also the SAP BTP platform from SAP. So some use cases that we implement for implementation, so the cloud TMS for BTP deployment. So we use it for Fiori application that we develop internally, and also for integration suite to deploy the artifact. We are studying to replace Charmed. We use it since many years, and now we have to think about the next step in 2 or 3 years when the solution manager will be decommissioned. So we are thinking about to use also the new features in Cloud ALM. We have also Tricentis implementation that was done this year. We I remember. We have a lot of additional tools that is connected natively with Cloud ALM, so we deploy. In operation, so we implement 44 systems in health monitoring. In job monitoring, we are still in our journey for the implementation because our system have a lot of issue in terms of job scheduling. So we have to clean up first before creating using totally these tools for alerting. For synthetic user monitoring, it was a POC started this year. So for this one, we have to implement local machine in your area. So it's quite complex in the Sanofi landscape. So we have to think about how to improve this implementation. We have also real user monitoring, so we can. For those who were in the previous presentation, we have the front-end overview and the back-end overview. And we start also the integration monitoring. So our journey started in Cloud ALM in 2021. So we implement first the S4 system connected with Cloud ALM. After we connect the SAP BTP when we move to Cloud Foundry. And now we have, as I said, around 40 systems connected. So a quick overview of the Cloud Transport Management tiles. So when you see, we have already some transport. It's not very high because we switch from a local tenant to Cloud TMS last year, end of the year. We start first with the previous version of Cloud Transport Management directly on tenant, and now it's part of the Cloud ALM solution. So for the health monitoring, so it provides a very easy way to manage our systems with a quite fast overview of your systems. Same for real user monitoring. You can see your operating system that is used by the end user. You can see the browsers. So it's very useful when you have to analyze your landscape. So for synthetic user monitoring, the same. We implement a script to repeat the same activities in different area, so we can see the regularity of the activity if we have an issue with the network. So now if we focus on the job monitoring, so we have a lot of errors actually. But I would say it's not the critical errors. It's mainly the way of we are managing the job inside the system. But with Cloud ALM, we are able to discover what is behind and to summarize where are the main issues. So we can investigate more easily and reduce the number of issues in our systems. So in terms of consumption of memory for Cloud ALM, so we have some figures. So you can estimate what will be your consumption for this functionality in Cloud ALM to limit the consumption for the whole platform. So you have the possibility to reduce if you don't need it. At the system level, you can remove some data collection if you want only to focus in the SAP ABAP job, for example. You can deactivate the other one. By default, they are all activated. So job exception monitoring. So for this one, it provides also a quick overview of what happened during the last day. You can define the period, and after you just click on the status, and you have the detail of your job. Yeah, so the result for the job analysis, so it provides many things. It was very easy to analyze for a specific period where are the issue and to find the root cause. Also, when we have a runtime issue, so for example, we had a job that are increasing day after day, very slowly, but increasing. So we detect that it was a program error that is taking all the data and not only the one that we need. So each time the database is growing, the job takes more and more time. So it was discovered with the tool. And also we can analyze when we have a lot of failing job for one very specific reason. It can be summarized through this analysis. It's very small for me. Yes, this one, it was negative runtime, so the execution, let me, I don't remember.
Actually, we can also show it in live in the system.
Yes.
This is just a reminder, but basically the analysis view shows you the aggregated data. So David was mentioning, I mean, we are collecting data. You have certain, let's say, influence if you really want all data from the different systems. So sometimes maybe only ABAP jobs or some other job types might be of interest, but in principle, raw data we collect and we very quickly also reorganize. So you actually cannot configure this, but I think we have a good, efficient algorithm. Before reorganizing, we aggregate into hourly buckets, and out of these hourly buckets, obviously you lose a little bit of information. This is condensed, but still you can get a lot of useful information. And we have a little application called Analysis, and in this analysis, just with a few examples, we wanted to show how can you use it. And one of the columns, or a few columns, actually deal with the runtime. So the average runtime, but also the total runtime. Obviously interesting to see, okay, what puts most load on the system. The total runtime is then of interest. What we did here is rather, let's say, to focus on the runtime trend deterioration. And for this, we have a column, the last column, and in this column we calculate if there's a negative trend. Of course, this is a little bit, to be treated with some caution, but it gives a hint. And I say some caution because obviously, we need to look at the individual runtimes, we look at the time window, and we put a marker into the middle and then compare the first part with the second part. So sometimes this is maybe not the best approach. I mean, there might be more intelligent approaches. And and then you can sort by the last column, and whatever is on the top, it is deteriorating. If it's on top a long-running thing, then maybe it's worth to look into this, and you can then easily drill down into the trend. And this is just one example where the job indeed had a huge peak somehow. In the first part of the selected period, it was very quick, and then suddenly it was peaking. We didn't then analyze into more details, could also just be due to additional data, but for sure it makes sense to have a look at this. Okay.
It's same for this one. It was based on the RAID execution when we have the trained, so we can identify from where the issue was coming. It was an empty file, and the program was generating an error. So it's not a good behavior for the program itself. So we change it. This one. Yeah, this one we can see the detail log. So we have the message directly failed to replicate.
Maybe one remark to this. So for those who are not using it yet, so we have, in contrast to many job scheduling or job monitoring local tools, we have two statuses. One status is focusing, let's say, on the overall technical execution. This is also the same as quite often offered in the local tools. But the jobs typically also process some data, and they log the processing in the sense of success or errors. And if this is the case, we try to extract this and we try to summarize it, and we summarize it in a so-called application status. So this is referring to the application data processing. And this is an example where we basically sorted by the, actually, did we sort by, no, this one is the other one, we sorted by execution status. So this was simply the failing job, and we identified actually with the tool that there was a certain period in time where really the job constantly failed. This is also important just to mention here. In the monitoring, we focus on the latest execution. So if you look at your monitoring screen, you cannot really see if there were some issues in the past unless you have configured alerting. But since we are aggregating data and putting it together, you can always go to analysis for the time period and then just check, hey, was there an execution failure in the time window, even if the last one was successful. And this was one of the examples. Okay.
So this one was for the SAP standard workflow, which has a red status.
Yeah. Sorry. So this was exactly the example, that I was referring to before. So the job from outside looks perfectly fine. So if you look into SM37, you think that's all good. But in fact, it is constantly writing an application log error, and we make this visible with a red status, a red application status, and in the analysis and the trend reporting. This can be seen, then you can basically go to the monitoring application and then drill down into the exception. And in this case, it was an issue with a sub workflow not starting. Is this a different one?
Yes, this one it was also an issue in the configuration of the work item, so there is no recipient. It's a common message in the SAP workflow, so we can identify what the job was running well itself. So it helps to identify this kind of issue in the systems. Yeah, for this one we had some peak at some days, but it was a normal job. It was a normal execution because we had a lot of data this day. But,
this is, just to add here, this is a way, so to say, to understand if there are overlapping jobs. So sometimes you schedule jobs on a regular basis, let's say every hour, and then over time maybe the performance is getting worse. And this is not critical as long as there is still time between the individual executions, but once they start to overlap, you might run into serious issues, maybe logging issues whatsoever, and then maybe you lock your system. We don't have a automatic key figure to tell you this job looks like it's running in parallel, but you can quite easily figure it out yourself. And for this, you can basically restrict the time frame that you look at, maybe to yesterday, or some kind of past period, which you know the length. And if the total runtime of the job is longer than this period, you should have a look. It's not guaranteed, maybe not an issue, maybe all good. But it's a good way to understand if there are maybe some overlapping executions. In this example, since the time window was 1,440 minutes, and the total runtimes were basically, none of the jobs was longer running, we could say, no, there's no issue with any overlappings. Okay.
So for next step, we plan to implement the alerting. So it's already in place. We connect ServiceNow with the Cloud ALM. So we are able to generate the alert, the ticket incident directly in ServiceNow. But before activating the alerting, we want to decrease the number of issues that we have today in the system to avoid the spamming the incident queue. So we put some improvement requests. So it's still ongoing, but they have been selected for a next version.
Yeah, actually, it's important maybe to mention, we put them, let's say, on, I don't know if you have more, but for sure these two are quite interesting. I mean, the lower one is really a usability issue. And whenever you realize this is really, would be nice to use it, some additional filter capabilities, the monitoring by scheduling user and so on. I mean, this is always very welcome because you are the ones that are using the tool and you maybe see things that we don't see. The other one, the alert if job didn't run until a certain time, this is actually really a functional requirement that we hear more and more. So this is, of course, a little bit a challenge for us until now. And we are thinking about a good solution which does not expect you to maintain too much configuration. Let's see what will be the result. But basically, we have learned from our customers that to look at the jobs that failed is good, but actually it is also very important to really understand if the job ran at all. So was it triggered at all, or did it finish at all until a certain time? And in SAP Focused Run, we offer something there, and in Cloud ALM, until now, nothing. And what we try to do is maybe to offer something even better, let's see, that requires less configuration effort. So just as an example, so I really encourage you to make use of this tool. Actually, then your name is in there as well. And I always try then to reach out to the people, to really better understand. So don't be shy. It can be also not perfectly formulated, and we will try to make it in a way that it is somehow, hopefully then fitting to many customers. Okay.
So based on our experience, we had some difficulty at the beginning for the stability of the current solution because we receive regular update from SAP in this environment. So we have only one environment at this moment. So we are directly impacted. So we have to react. We have to update the backend system sometimes. So it was a little bit difficult. Now it's more stable, I think, I can say. And we will soon activate the second tenant to have a segregate environment between production and non-production systems. So what we appreciate is the easy way to integrate with our systems on cloud and on-premise with SAP solution and other system for non-SAP. So we plan to integrate other systems also with we already plan with the ServiceNow. We integrate the chat notification with Teams. So it's very useful and not so difficult to implement, at least côté Cloud ALM.
You wanted to show something?
Yeah,
you want
maybe.
to do it now? Yeah. So now comes the live part. Hopefully everything will work. It's always a little bit exciting. Let's see. So it's working. Is it? Hang on. Is it working? No. This is. Is it? Oh.
Yes. It's connected.
As I said, the live part is always interesting.
Maybe we have to change. It's connected. Display maybe, Let's show you.
Did we get something, or did you see? Yeah. I mean, if not, we will do another demo. Is also okay.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
do you think it will work?
I don't know why it's not working.
It's not coming?
No.
Okay, no worries. Maybe you can tell what you wanted to show until I plug in and show something. So.
Oops.
Do you show my screen now? Is it possible? Because now I don't see it anymore. David, you destroyed.
I destroyed. I don't think so.
You destroyed the World Wide Web.
Yeah. It's coming. We have the mouse. Yeah, transition mode. Yeah, maybe.
You can also. Oh, is it? You can. What happened here? No?
You're still in presentation mode, no?
You see, then I can move and then plug it.
Close the presentation.
Yeah, but why is it? Can you hold it?
Sorry.
But why is it now like this?
That's strange.
How could the laptop now die?
It's crazy. Totally crazy. Let's try again.
Okay, maybe now.
Yeah, it's okay. You're at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe do you want to use this time for questions?
No, I think we got it back somehow.
Okay.
We got it back to life. Is it coming now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Just plugging out and plugging in, and suddenly nothing works. Okay, good. This is the expert portal, your best reference point. And why do I start here before showing it in the system? When you look at the scope and content and you say, okay, this job type, that job type, you quite often wonder, is it actually a job type that I have? And therefore we try to help here. So here, you can always look a little bit in more detail. Okay, content. Okay, this is the product, and we try to reference to the actual local things. So, for example, something new. Build process automation. Yeah, process and workflow instance. Do I use this? So then we point you to the help, and this is hopefully then helping you understand. Okay, this is exactly what we are using. And the second point. Then you often wonder, like, okay, now I've connected, but what is it that I should be seeing? Yeah, so I try to always give a preview here, and let's stick to, or let's show maybe cloud identity provisioning. Yeah, okay, how should it look like? You know, once we kind of mapped the source to the target, and always just 3 or 4 slides, and gives you an understanding. What to do? Why is it not going to presentation? This is presentation. And yeah, basically we then give you, okay, in the expert portal, this is how you would have to configure it. We explain if you can automatically, just switch on, switch off data collection, which is kind of the most important part in case of identity provisioning. Since this is integrated with the new next generation data collection infrastructure, it's really simple. You can just switch on, switch off, and then the data comes. And then basically in your source system, okay, if you see this, then this is what you should see in the target system. So as I said, and this is a good example where we needed to do some mapping in the source system. The jobs are listed under somehow, they have some entity system action, and we just know job name. Yeah. So what can we do? And then we discussed and we decided, okay, we put into the job name column what in the source system is under system and under action, because these are the key important fields, and this is then how this job execution is represented. And then basically we show you, okay, if you drill down, what else, what kind of data you see, and also if a forward navigation to the local tool exists. And the forward navigation we always put on the execution level, information pop-up, and if you click, then we explain how forward navigation should look like, how it should be working, and also try to explain if some additional authorizations are needed or not. In this case, let's say the authorization for the local monitoring UI should be sufficient. In case of ABAP systems, you might need some additional authorization. So this is the example. And now, live demo. And so this is Sanofi's Cloud ALM tenant with my user. Would have been maybe better with David's user, but let's not break anything anymore. So I launched the job and automation monitoring, and when you initially launch it, it will be empty. You will get a scope selector coming up, and then it's up to you, let's say, to put certain systems into scope, and this is the scope selector, and it basically lists all those systems that we are potentially job monitoring, potentially supporting, maybe a little bit more. That's sometimes not perfectly, let's say, dividable. But in this case, you see over 100 managed component connected, and if I just go for HANA, as for HANA, then still here I see 15, and probably you have some, what is it called? Business, I don't know. Did you say like 40 different ABAP-based systems? So NetWeaver, okay. So the other ones are NetWeaver systems, so 24. Okay, good. So I have opted just to look at 3 of those systems to keep it a little bit more simple. And the top row, this is what you would see. And what have I done below? Since maybe I'm responsible only for a few jobs, I created favorites. And I created one favorite because I knew that, okay, David is mainly interested in sub jobs that start with SAP underscore. So I created one favorite for those jobs that start with sub underscore. I created one tile for the BW process chains, because typically, let's say, it's a separate group of people responsible, and one card for the application jobs. I created these favorites, and I can show you how to create a new one. I created these favorites without restricting on any system. So I think if I click on the info icon, I thought we provide this information, but it's not coming. So let me show it. So the monitoring screen lists you, and this is basically the list of definitions, lists you all the jobs that are collected, sorts by default by execution status, but you could also change the sorting, let's say, to application status. These are, I would say, the typical sortings. And now maybe you see that from the different systems, you get different job types, and maybe you are just interested in ABAP jobs. And let me just repeat this, so then you say, okay, only ABAP jobs. But you're not restricting to any system here. You apply. And then maybe, okay, there are a lot of jobs I'm not responsible for, but I know the job names that I'm responsible for. Soon we want to offer here also the scheduling user. So this is my scheduling user, then you can also define this as a favorite. But let's say if it's just SAP underscore apply now, these are the jobs, okay, 61 in these 3 systems. this is really I should be taking care of. And I want a quick view. Whenever I launch the application, actually I'm responsible also for these jobs in all systems. So then this is a perfect favorite. So I click on the favorite icon here. I need to navigate to the home page, and then I will have created a new card here. Yeah? And this is how it is looking like first. Your job list is not really nice, but I change this now. I rename, okay, so these are my SAP ABAP jobs. Yeah. So basically I repeated just what I did above, and now I have it twice. Of course, it's containing the same information. So I remove this now. But what is the difference here? What we do here, we are listing the jobs, and you can then quickly see, okay, there's one job which seems to have an issue with, it's failing. So let's quickly navigate to the monitoring application. It's on the top of the list. Maybe let's check. Okay, it's failing. Last 2 days seems to be a daily job. Okay, I want to look a little bit into, let's say, last 30 days. And then, it's failing actually quite long, but now there's no more data after the 9th of September. So what happened? The data is reorganized. It's not a frequently running job. That's why we keep the data quite long. But if it would be a frequently running job, after 2 days, you wouldn't see anything more here. But you could navigate to the analysis page. Yeah? And in the analysis page, you have the data basically depending on your configuration. Yeah? So you can configure in application settings how long you want to keep the data. And by default, we keep it, I think, 1 year. But David reduced this to 30 days. It's okay, 1 month, why not? Of course, this is saving space. Now, space, of course, interesting. How much space do you consume? You would want probably then to understand this, and you can open up this card here, or this icon, and then quickly understand for the different systems that you have connected or that you had connected, how much data is still persisted or is persisted. So now maybe USH 100 is a system, actually you don't want, or you don't like, or I don't know, you could then say, I don't need it. Okay, what do I need to do? First thing you would, David, I'm not going to kill it, no worries. Shouldn't it be here, US? What is? It's not, is it not there anymore? Oh, sorry, UH. UH, this one, was it?
Yes.
Sorry, okay. So I take this one. Now my overview is changing also, of course. It should be changing at least, but for sure I get the system here, and this is what also David was mentioning on his presentation. Let's say one thing could be to generally switch it off, but maybe you are just saying, okay, actually, anyway, I'm looking only at ABAP jobs. I don't need to collect BW chains and business workflow. Could be one step. What we are not offering, but we plan to offer, is to say, okay, if I'm anyway only interested in SAP, whatever certain jobs that I scheduled and so on, we are soon going to offer here the possibility to select the job type and then to filter, to reduce the volume. It's not really what we really want, because we want to give you a holistic view. But if somebody doesn't need this holistic view, then of course he shouldn't consume unnecessary data. And if you do not need it completely, what you can do, you can stop the data collection, and if you click remove configuration, I'm not going to do this now, it's really removing all the data for that system, including the aggregated data. So
you can do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then let's switch it off. Now let's. So this is, it's important to switch it off, because this is then communicating to the remote system. So there's a heartbeat implemented. So the remote system understands that this is not needed anymore, so it will not push again. And I'm not sure, do I need to wait here? To be honest, I don't think I need to wait. Maybe it would not be bad to wait. Let's give it another chance. But I'm just going to click here now, remove configuration. Okay, we give a final warning. Currently, switch off, and the sync is in process. Okay. You see, I forgot, but it reminded me. Okay, you need to wait. Okay, now hopefully this is going to finish. Otherwise, I cannot show it. But I'll come back here in a minute, because I want to show you one more thing, which I think is important to understand or to see. I just don't know why I didn't get now this. I said apply. Okay, doesn't like it. I never like to refresh the URL, but it's almost always helping. And don't ask me why sometimes this happens. We try, of course, to not do it. Okay, so this was the famous system that we want to get rid of. But okay, you are sure this is the one we want to get rid of?
No,
there was the other one.
Not the production one. No?
Okay, it was which one? This one. This one. Okay, good. But we can also show here. So okay, we see a lot of red ratings. Let's restrict here maybe on ABAP jobs also. And let's have a look here. So I said we are integrated with exception monitoring. So if such an icon appears, you can click and it brings you to the exception monitoring, to the collected exception. And okay, there's some kind of runtime error and so on. So it should be looked at. You can also check. Okay, there are some application errors as well. You can click here, and okay, obviously the job has an issue. It seems to be an externally scheduled job, so it sounds like the famous scheduler. And okay, so since David said I can do it, configured inactive. So okay, finally it is inactive. Yeah. So no more data collection is on, and should be. Okay. So David, please feel free to press. Okay, remove configuration.
It's your name.
Remove configuration. And okay, now already no active events. Configuration deleted successfully. Yeah. And now if I expand, and this is the last thing I want to show you. Hopefully I didn't forget this. What was it?
UHS.
Here UHS. Okay, and
it disappeared.
It's gone. So we saved space now, and this is the way to get rid of a system again. Of course, you can quickly activate, but now we have lost basically 30 days of aggregation. Good. I think I should stop here. I didn't touch the alerting part, but just want to mention that if you have cleaned up, if you feel like, okay, this is now clean, and now even though you like this application, you don't want to look at it anymore, you set up alerting notifications, and you do this basically here as well. You can click, and then you can define events. And sometimes it's not so intuitive you have to press the plus button. You can choose the different event types. And one important thing, because sometimes people say, but I don't get a notification. By default, the notification is only provided at new occurrence. Yeah? So you might set it up, the notification went out, and maybe you didn't realize, and now the job constantly fails, and you say, I don't get a notification. So then you need to change it at every occurrence. If you are creating alerts on top, you can just confirm the alert, and then it will be a new occurrence. So wrap up, please. So wrap up. Actually, I closed the PowerPoint, so I don't want to open it up again. I hope you got some insights. I would be really happy that if you get your hands onto this. As I said, there is this influence capability, but even without the influence capability, you can still try to influence me by reaching out to me. And I really look forward to really some end users touching giving ideas, showing basically where the weak points are. So I really want to encourage this. And just as an outlook, so we will be onboarding new job types, and I said we will be looking into trying to give you the option to reduce the data that you collect. Actually, last year already I had announced that we want to give you the option to group jobs, so tie filters to business services in order to have a specific view on, let's say, the jobs that are related to a business service. This also puts us into the position to give a, let's say, an outage event to the business service. So if you use business service management and then you look at the card, then you would see that job monitoring reports a problem. So maybe the services are still there that you grouped, but job monitoring says the business service has an issue. So this is, let's say, the two things I want to mention. So on one hand, reduce a little bit data volume if you don't need it. At the same time, give you the option to better group what you look at, maybe also to more efficiently configure alerting with this concept. So having said this, thanks for listening, and yeah.
Thanks.
Are there any questions? Yeah.
There's one.
Oh, there is? Oh, okay.
Hello. Any plans to integrate AI into the trend analysis to try and help the end user, understand maybe job runtime analysis, things like that?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
The Joule
AI.
or the AI? Any
okay,
embedded AI potential?
Not planned at the moment. But let's say it would, of course, be an idea. The point is, and this is sometimes a little bit difficult to judge. We do the aggregation. You look at the tables, you can sort. So it's a little bit question, so to say, what could Joule add to this? I think where Joule or artificial intelligence can help is to a little bit understand, of course, if a runtime exception is normal or not normal, because for this you need a lot of data, and then maybe you can compare to the former patterns. So that I think maybe there with some thresholding, at the moment not planned, no.
Thank you. Can we see the job logs from the ABAP system?
Yeah.
The complete log of the job.
The complete log, yeah.
Okay.
So what I showed you was just the header line.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's one more tab
Mm-hmm.
in which you can see the complete log. So all the messages. At the moment, it's not nicely readable. Of course, you can search and so on. It's in this XML format, but the colleagues from exception monitoring work on a option to list this in a more readable way, so you can look at it.
Okay. And you also mentioned you have a frequent upgrades in the ALM. So how frequent you have upgrades?
Upgrades. You have to differentiate. So when it's Cloud ALM, so the central system, actually it's regular change. Constantly we try to bring in some minor improvements, like maybe additional filter option and so on. Sometimes there are some disruptive changes, and this is what David referred to. So when we introduced the option to collect job type specific, we were unable, let's say, we needed also to enhance the data collector, which is the managed system side. So then you need to upgrade your managed system. Unfortunately, in the past, we had a lot of requirements to upgrade. Hopefully now it's stabilizing in the sense that you can upgrade, but you don't have to. In the past, you kind of had to in order to get a bug-free collection. But in the future, I wouldn't say you need to worry about this. You just have a certain status in the ABAP system. You have calm, and that's it. It's just ongoing. Yeah.
Last question, I think.
just wanted to know what will happen to job documentation. So what we do is based on job documentation, we schedule jobs. And here the advantage in Solution Manager is the Solution Manager knows when the job will run, and so it can see when there's an outage and the job is not running. This is what you mentioned already, how you would like to do. But I think there is no replacement for the job documentation functionality.
Really glad that you asked this question. It's also a good conclusive question. I forgot to mention this. So actually, I was in quite close contact with Sinje Seidler, who is owning the documentation side, and we have now quite a good workflow that could kind of replace the former job documentation and request management part. And we want to integrate it with monitoring in the sense that you can see in the monitoring UI, this is a documented job and navigate there. So now when it comes to scheduling, this is really a challenging part. But there, at the moment, the idea is that there's the central API management, which you maybe also have listened to from the French colleagues yesterday evening. So we are thinking about integrating with that and then provide via this API and event topic at least, let's say, the metadata of the jobs to an external system, like an external scheduler, so that if the external scheduler wants to integrate with Calm, they can at least get the metadata and then do what they need to do. And then it's a different question, and we will have to see if the external scheduler will give us a little bit information as well, because we take the data from the source system, so external scheduler schedules into the source, and of course, sometimes the external schedule is maybe not successful and so on. So it would be good to also understand from the scheduler, okay, when is the next execution due? Then I can counter check. And this is, let's say, in the plan, and I think it will come, I think so, yeah? Okay.
Hello. Yes, in order to create, in order to activate job monitoring, we need to do managed system configuration. How is this different, the connection between the systems, I mean here? Are we using another connection other than managed system configuration?
It is, actually, it's completely different concept. I think you refer to Solution Manager partially, is it true? Yeah. What you need to do is in the managed system itself, yeah, you have a transaction code, and in this transaction code you need to maintain certain information, some kind of connection details. Yeah, you do this one time and you say, okay, that's it, and then the managed system will constantly push the data. And if you don't want to get it pushed anymore, then from Cloud ALM, what I showed you, can switch it off. So you don't need to go there anymore. It's enough if you did it once. Actually, this framework is scheduling itself, making use of batch jobs. So you see those jobs actually in job monitoring. So if they would have a problem, you would realize. Yeah. So this is very simple. So there is no higher dependency to anything else. Yeah.
Applicable in ECC?
Excuse me?
Is this applicable in ECC?
So I didn't get it.
Yes, also, yeah.
So
you can implement in ECC. In all data waiver.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, I wish we could have you all day, but I guess not.
Thank you.